From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Tuesday, June the 27th, 2017. A rocket was fired from Gaza into Israel last night. It landed in an open area near the Sha'ar HaNegev Regional Council in southern Israel, and no injury or damage was reported. The Islamic State-affiliated group Afad al-Sahaba claimed responsibility for the attack. Israel's Air Force responded to the rocket fire. The IDF said that Israeli aircrafts targeted 2 Hamas terror targets in Gaza. Last night's rocket was the first fired from Gaza, landing in Israeli territory since March. It follows errant mortar fire from Syria this past weekend that landed in Israel's Golan Heights, as we reported to you yesterday. Israeli Defense Minister Avigdor Lieberman said of the latest incidents that Israel would not tolerate any provocations, but also stressed that Israel has, quote, no intention of launching a military operation against neither Syria nor Gaza. Well, Israeli leaders are trying to calm tensions in the American Jewish community after it was announced on Sunday that Israel's cabinet had frozen plans to implement a historic compromise it had agreed to last year to create a permanent pluralistic prayer section at a part of the Western Wall in Jerusalem. A number of diaspora leaders are in Israel this week to attend the Jewish Agency's Board of Governors meeting, and several of them canceled their meetings with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in light of Sunday's announcement. President and CEO of the Jewish Federations of North America, Jerry Silverman, however, sat down with the Prime Minister in Jerusalem last night. Silverman told the Times of Israel, "We are the representatives of the entirety of the Jewish communities, and I thought it important that he, Netanyahu, hear directly from the communities." Silverman said he and other American Jewish leaders were committed to seeing the compromise implemented as agreed to, and that they were working on a strategy for a campaign to convince the Knesset and all Israelis as to the reasons why the Kotel Western Wall plan is so important. Regarding the meeting last night with the Prime Minister, Silverman said that Netanyahu truly listened and was open to hearing their concerns. American Jewish leaders also attended an emergency meeting held at the Knesset today on the issue, and Israel's Education Minister Naftali Bennett also invited diaspora leaders to meet today to address the crisis. He also released a statement reassuring the American Jewish community that the Kotel was still open to all.
You are our brothers and sisters. You are wanted and desired here in Israel. The Kotel is open and will remain open to all Jews of all streams and all denominations. The American Jews are a fundamental pillar of the State of Israel. Israelis and American Jews will remain united. Over the next 24 hours, we'll continue to have discussions with the leadership of American Jewry in order to bring a resolution to this crisis.
Meanwhile, the Jewish Agency took out advertisements today in major Israeli newspapers saying that the Israeli government's reversal on the Kotel Compromise, quote, endangers the unity of the Jewish people. They also address in the ad, as did Silverman in his meeting with Netanyahu, another issue of concern, which is a bill that has advanced in the Knesset to only recognize conversions overseen by the Haredi ultra-Orthodox chief rabbinate in Israel. The bill still needs to pass 3 readings at the Knesset before it can become law. In some other news, Israel signed a new cybersecurity agreement with the U.S. yesterday. The partnership was signed in Tel Aviv by U.S. Homeland Security Advisor Thomas Bossert and Prime Minister Netanyahu. Bossert is in Israel to attend the annual cybersecurity conference at Tel Aviv University. He and Netanyahu held a meeting before the signing of the agreement, which establishes joint working groups on international cyber policy as well as research and development. Former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert is out of the hospital. We had reported to you last week that Olmert was taken to the hospital from the Israeli jail where he is serving time for corruption after complaining of chest pains. Olmert was found not to have suffered a heart attack and was discharged from Tel HaShomer Hospital this morning. Immigrants from English-speaking countries were honored at the Knesset last night. Nefesh B'Nefesh, which eases the Aliyah process for such immigrants, bestowed 9 recipients with the 2017 Sylvan Adams Bonnet Zion Prize. The award recognizes immigrants who have made a great impact on the State of Israel. This year's honorees include head of radiotherapy at Ichilov Hospital, Professor Benjamin Korn, President of NGO Monitor, Professor Gerald Steinberg, Beth Steinberg for her work on inclusion for people with disabilities, and IDF spokesperson Captain Libby Weiss, among others. 2 Lifetime Achievement Awards were also given out, one to Professor Alice Shalvey for her contributions to the status of women through education and advocacy, and the second posthumously to Professor Eliezer Jaffe for his pioneering work in the field of social work. A small group of protesters greeted the British band Radiohead at the UK's Glastonbury Music Festival this weekend. Pro-Palestinian demonstrators held signs calling on the rockers to cancel their upcoming performance in Tel Aviv, which is set for July the 19th. As we reported to you earlier this month, Radiohead singer Tom York told Rolling Stone that efforts of the BDS, Boycott, Divestment, and Sanctions movement, were upsetting, disrespectful, and offensive, and that he was not in favor of any cultural boycott. And taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Tuesday, June the 27th, radio host and founder of the Guardian Angels, Curtis Sliwa, joins Assemblyman Todd Kaminsky and Yifa Siegel of the International Legal Forum to talk about efforts to combat the BDS movement. That's from Temple Hillel in Valley Stream, New York. At 8 o'clock, Ari Shavit and Roger Cohen talk about how the world no longer sees Israel in a David versus Goliath struggle with Linda Scherzer. At 9, Mark Golub sits down with former National Director of the Anti-Defamation League, Abe Foxman, for Part 2 of L'chaim. And at 10, Deborah Vishnevsky of the Jewish Multiracial Network teaches about Chinese and Indian Jewish communities from the recent Limud Conference. And coming up right after this newscast tonight at 6:30, it's In the News with Mark Golub. Tonight, Mark speaks more about the Israeli government's decision to freeze the implementation plans of the Kotel Compromise with Rabbi Stephen Wernick, who is CEO of the United Synagogue of Conservative Judaism. That's on tonight's In the News. And that's the JBS News Update for Tuesday, June the 27th, 2017. I'm Teisha Bader.